Okay, hey, we're recording right now. My name is Brent Ford, and I'm the teacher in the AME pathway at El Cajon Valley High School. And today I'm here with a colleague of mine that I've worked with out in the field. Her name is Jesmani. And Nix is, well, I'm going to let her tell you what she does, but she's an amazing coworker of mine. And we've had a lot of good times working together. So Nix, welcome to our class. This is a weird class, right?
Right. Honestly, to tell you the truth, this is my first Zoom meeting during this whole pandemic, which is so interesting because everyone's like, oh, Zoom. I have not done any Zoom meetings during this pandemic. So I am a totally beginner at using this software. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, so far so good. You looks like you're doing a good job so far. And yeah,
Thank you.
it's welcome to Zoom. I mean, this is like the whole world right now for us in education is doing these Zoom meetings.
Yeah, it's really amazing that we have this, honestly. We have this technology, right? It actually, you know, it allows us to be able to have, it's just really hard nowadays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so as Brent mentioned, my name is Nix. I also go by Nikki, and I'm an audio engineer. And that is actually why I've had the pleasure of working with Brent. As you guys probably know, Brent is an amazing musician, and I've had the pleasure of working with his band. So being very humble there. But yeah, so that's what I do for a living. I didn't know what I'm getting myself into before I went to school for it, and went down that route. But it's a very exciting career for sure. It has its own, pros and cons, but I'm grateful for whatever it brings to my life, for sure.
Hey, I'm going to introduce you to some maybe new things for you in Zoom. At the bottom, if you hover your cursor on the bottom of the
Yes,
screen, they'll have some different
yes,
icons. Click on the chat one, and I'm just going to add questions into the chat for you.
perfect.
Do you see the first question that I put in there?
Yes, I do.
It says,
Yes,
"Where
I
did you
do.
go to school?"
Okay, so yes. So I went to school at I actually went to a private school in San Diego, Mission Valley. It was the Art Institute of California. Now they do not exist. They unfortunately went bankrupt, and they were a national, I believe, maybe international, but I think it was a national school. And they went bankrupt, and all the schools across the nation closed. So yeah, it was a private school. I did get a lot out of it. Made a lot of good connections, and that's one of the most important things with this career, is that you want to meet as many as people as you can in your career, in your field, because that's how you get work. That's how you really get work. So education was probably okay, but the other side of things, like that, making the connections and meeting the other students that are now my colleagues, that was what I really like about that whole experience.
So yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that right off the bat, because I kind of made this change in my teaching with my class recently, and it's all about networking and networking with professionals and networking with people in the industry. And just like you said, that's how you get jobs, is by networking. So I'm really trying
Yes,
to push that with the students. Do you have any
yes.
suggestions on best ways to network? I know you kind of had it built into where you were going to school and networking. Are there some other ways that I'm not thinking about that people can network?
That's a really good question. For me, as far as ways go, yeah, I mean, it started with the school. It actually started. I still have a lot of musician friends. So I always had this, was in this group of people that were already involved in music. So I feel like I had that advantage. And when I went to school, got to meet new people in the audio industry. And then after I graduated, then I just try to hit up as many as people as I can. I try people that I already knew from before, musicians that I already knew from before, and kind of letting them know that, hey, this is now what I do, and let's work together or whatever. So it's like, I feel like it's a combination of utilizing the people that are already in your life and kind of look at what resources they can bring into your life now with your new in your new field, and also being open to meet new people in different ways, like you reaching out to people that and now internet is an amazing tool. You can literally go on the internet and search for the best audio engineers in San Diego, or best studios in San Diego, and try to find the people that are in charge of those and literally reach out to them and show your interest in, like, even interning for them or something. So, and I had to do a lot of free work when I started, and I feel like that's how I got to meet a lot of people.
So that's the other thing I was just telling my students about, is that, you have to do intern opportunities before you can start getting paid to do stuff. And that's not just in this industry, that's in a lot of industries, right? I mean, you got to kind of show what
Yes.
you know, so then they'll decide if they want to hire you.
Yes.
How long have you worked in this industry?
Yes. So it's been, let's see, I graduated, I believe it was 2018, and my school was about 3 years. So I started kind of being involved in audio around 2016. So a year into my school, I already kind of was like meeting new people and trying to do kind of small works here and there for free, of course, when I was in school. And so I would say it's been about 4 years, right? Yeah, 4 years.
Okay.
Which is really amazing. I always feel like it's more, but yeah, so it's been 4 years. And so as far as so the next question is, what are the hardest parts of the industry? Did you want me to elaborate more on the other question? I am so sorry. I thought I put this on silent.
I was just gonna say,
Okay.
I was just Googling best sound engineers in San Diego, and the #1 person was Nick Jesmani, AKA Nikki. Yeah.
Yes, one day.
That
would actually be the best sound engineers in the entire world.
Yes. Nick Jesmani. Now, did you put together that Google Doc and post that, or what?
Maybe.
Oh, shoot. No, that's all good. So what are the hardest parts of working in this industry?
There are a lot of challenges, as there is in any field. But it has a lot of painful parts, and
let me stop you.
Yes.
I don't want to be weird, but this industry, I would say, is predominantly a male industry. Have you had any of the hardest parts in relation to being a female and trying to break into this industry?
Not honestly. A lot of people ask me this question. Not particularly. Like, I don't really feel like the fact that I'm a female has any. It does have some effect, like I feel like I have to work harder to prove myself, as, like, for instance, for my male counterpart, right? If he does the same amount of work and has the same amount of knowledge theoretically as I have to kind of like work harder to be like, hey, you can trust me with your work, you can hire me, which is, I've accepted that challenge, and I feel like if anything it pushes me to be better. So I feel like that's one of the things, because I feel like as men in this industry are already kind of like have an advantage because it's a male industry, a male dominant industry. people already kind of like, they have this imagery of a male sound person already in their mind. So when they think of a sound engineer, they're like, oh, they have that, you know, perspective. So I have to kind of fight against that, with, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing. But other than that, and you know, there's been occasions where, you know, people like come into the studio sessions, and they they're like, oh, like as if like they can't believe that I'm the sound engineer. Like they already, they're like, oh, are you like something?
Yeah.
Are you just hanging out? You
Right.
know?
Are you here to like
Oh,
are you here to get the coffee?
yeah, yeah, totally, totally. But it's all good, you know. Any sort of job, you know, has its own things. But for the most part, honestly, most people I worked with, men or women, have been really supportive, really kind, and patient. Yeah, and that's I think, you know, it's really up to you whether or not you can um, have people trust you or not with your work. You have to earn, basically, if you're a man or a woman.
So I really wanted to ask you that question because I wanted to set it up for this next statement that I'm about to make. When I first met you, and I don't remember where it was. I want to say Soda Bar, but I don't remember if that was the
It
right
was
place.
a space bar.
Okay. So we were doing a gig there. We showed up, we were loading in. I saw you and I was like, oh, wow, it's a female sound person. And I was amazed by that. But by the
Yeah.
end of the show, you had done such a fantastic job. I was like, I don't care whether this person
Oh,
is male or female. This is a fantastic sound person. And
yeah.
I wanted
Oh,
to
thank you.
I wanted
Thank you.
to work with you more. So that I just want you to know that I am not having you on here because you're a female, or you know what I mean. I just thought you were a
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah,
sound
yeah.
person.
No, I totally know what you mean. And thank you for that. Thank you so much for the kind words. It really means so much to me to be acknowledged for my work, you know, because it's very, I feel like it's easy to be acknowledged for things other than your work, you know, especially when you're a female, you know,
Yeah,
in today's world.
yeah,
But I really strive to be as best as I can, you know, at anything I do. And when people see that and you know, appreciate that, as you just expressed, it just means so much to me, and it just encourages me to do more and to be of better service, basically.
and you know, it doesn't surprise me that you're not having a lot of stories about what is the hardest part of the industry because you do a
Yeah,
fantastic job. I I've played music long enough and worked with enough
thank you.
sound engineers where I've seen guys and girls that don't know how to do their job the right way, and
Yeah, and it's
the sound is feeding back, or it's hard to hear for a certain person or the audience or whatever. And so those people get a lot of flack, right? When those
yeah,
sound engineers, they're really hearing it either from the crowd or from the promoter or from the
yes,
bands.
yes.
I get the feeling that you don't get a lot of that because you actually know how to do your job. You've studied the craft and you apply that whenever you go out and you're a professional.
Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, to tell you the truth, though, I had to go through that as anyone, you know. I remember my first few shows, just a second. No, just a second. That. Just a second. Thank you. I remember my first few shows. Oh my gosh, like it was so stressful. Like I remember having a lot of problems with not necessarily problems, but like trying to figure things out. And it's a very fast-paced type of like
Yeah.
you know, job. Like when you're doing a show, like you literally you have to make things happen, you
Mhm.
know, right after, you know, you have to set up the band, you have to make sure they are happy with the sound they're getting, the house is happy with the sound they're getting, troubleshoot in the you know, the midst of things. And when you're not experienced, it's just too much, you know. So I can't, my memory is really bad, so I can't remember specific stories, but I do remember having a lot of hard time when I first started and making a lot of mistakes. I still do, you know, I'm a human, I'm not perfect, I still do make mistakes. But I don't consider them hard. I just consider them a natural part. Oh, the funnest part of the industry. So the next question is, what are some of the funnest parts of the industry? There's lots of fun, um, in this field. You are always working with creative people, with musicians, which are some of the funnest people on planet Earth, as you know. I've always, since I was little, I always wanted to work with musicians, artists. I wanted to be involved in that kind of creative process, and that was for me really fun. And I just love that. So just that by itself, working with creative people and artists is fun. Not to mention, when you are involved, like imagine you're doing a live show and the music is happening and the audience are happy and everyone's dancing and everyone's having a lot of fun. That energy that you get from all that, that's also very, very pleasant for me. Um, yeah, so I would say those are some of the funnest parts. And then I also have a lot of fun, kind of um, um, overcoming problems. Like for me, troubleshooting is really fun
Yeah.
for some reason. I actually enjoy that. When I face a problem and I fix it, I get a lot of kick out of it.
Yeah, it's like a sense of
Um,
satisfaction.
yes, exactly, exactly. How long did it take for you to make your? Oh, it's probably not gonna happen. So I would
Hey,
say a lifetime, probably.
I don't think the kids can see me typing this in, but the question is, how long did it take for you to make your first $1 million? Not the second or third, but the first million.
Yes. So as if I'm gonna make the second,
Yeah.
the
So
third.
I guess what
Yeah,
I'm
it's
alluding
not
to,
wise financially.
I guess what I'm alluding to is this a job that you can make a lot of money at, or is it something that you struggle to make money at? Inquiring minds want to know.
Um, yeah, that's really important. And with any other, career choices you want to make, you really have to consider that. You really have to consider that money is a big, it's an important kind of tool in today's world. And without it, life it's hard. It makes life very efficient. It helps make life very efficient. So, anyways, back to your question. Um, at first you can't really expect much. Like I said, you have to do a lot of free work, because I feel like with any sort of job that depends on your skills,
Yeah.
you have to build your set until you can expect money, right? So at first you don't expect much, maybe minimum wage, at a job or two that you can find here and there. But it has the potential to be very fulfilling financially, because if you build your own skill set, and you can offer value to people, your value being your work, your audio job, basically your audio work that you can offer. And anytime you offer value to people, they are willing to give you money for it. And the better your work, the more you can ask for. So imagine now, like, what comes to mind is Grammy Award sound engineers, you
Sure.
know? So if you have that kind of goal and that vision in your mind that that's possible, then there is no limit. You can just keep on working on yourself until you think that you can offer that value, and it never stops, of course. Yeah, it is possible. It's a long journey, but it's worth it, I would say.
What's going on right now with COVID shutdown? And I mean, I know for me as a musician, there's just the shows are just very hard to come by if there's anything out there. Um, what about for a sound engineer? Are you still able to work? Are you still finding some ways to do shows, or are you doing different things?
It has changed. There's still, actually, right now I'm one of the busiest I've ever been.
Hey, that's
It
good to hear.
The format has changed, right? So there thank you. So there are not no live shows. as
Right.
we all know. But there are a lot of online streams, and people are thinking of creative ways to put their content out there, and everyone's like literally like thinking, okay, what can we do next, what can we do next? So then because of that, you have a lot of artists and musicians that need technical people that are educated, in technology, to be able to help them to achieve that goal, to put their content out there. And we live in a world where we have high standards for technology. So your work really like is influenced by the quality it has. So they're willing to hire qualified people to help them with that part of things. So with my job, yeah, right now mostly I'm doing a lot of like recording for streams, mixing for streams. I'm doing a lot of church gigs where because churches are still functioning, but the format again has changed. So I'm doing a lot of that. And I'm doing a lot of actually recording sessions too, because a lot of people are free. Most musicians are free, so they're thinking, oh, this is the time where we have to work on projects before we go back to having shows every night. So I'm doing a lot of recording sessions too.
Yeah. So talk to me more about that. What type of software are you most comfortable with when you're doing studio engineering?
Yes, there are a lot of softwares nowadays, of course, and the standard software that most studios use is Pro Tools.
Hold on just a
So that
second,
would be
Nick. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that.
that's okay, no worries. So yeah, I use Pro Tools, and so occasionally I have to use Logic too, but at studio recording sessions, I normally use Pro Tools.
And that's what we're teaching here in our class is
That's great.
the Avid Pro Tools, and so that's why I keep telling the kids this is a software that you're going to see if you get into this industry. Um,
Yes.
do you ever do any kind of analog recording anymore? I don't know if anybody's doing that, or I don't normally see that stuff, but I mean, apparently it's out there.
Yes, and it's actually coming back. Like anything else, like we're kind of like we have this affinity of like vintage to vintage and stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's actually coming back, and the studio that I work at is actually it has that. So we specialize in analog recording. Right now, our control room is actually we were having a lot of fun yesterday talking about how the room is slowly being filled by tape machines to the point that there's like no space for chairs anymore. So yeah, so we have a lot of tape machines, different types, 24 tracks, 16 track, 4 tracks, 2 tracks. So that's actually what mainly I do at the studio. I do analog recording.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's coming back. It's making a vintage, and people are mixing,
Yes.
right? People are mixing analog and digital recordings, or
Yes. So we kind of like what we strive for. Our goal at that studio is to do fully analog. So the process is from the recording to editing to mixing and then sending to for mastering. All is done analog. So we literally do not do anything digital, and that's what we strive for. That's we want to be able to offer that. I'm still kind of learning. The engineer that I work with, he's basically my mentor, and he's teaching me most of this stuff. And I feel like I'm getting there slowly, very slow process, but I'm getting there.
is this studio in San Diego or is it out of
Yes,
town?
yes. This is in San Diego. It's a Big Fish Recording
Okay.
Studio, which actually a lot of famous records were recorded there, including Blink 182, Switchfoot, and um, gosh, POD, and
Oh, wow.
um,
Okay. Yeah.
Ravi Shankar, and it's a lot
Uh-huh.
of good bands, San Diego bands. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So you got a lot of stuff going on. I'm very proud of you. And are you having to supplement with anything else, or are you like you said earlier, you're pretty busy, right?
No, I'm doing all audio work. It's very like with audio, you have to supplement with other audio projects. So you do one kind of big thing. Like my main thing is like working with churches because I started with that and now I'm like I feel like I'm an expert at it, which is not true. But I feel very, very like confident, working with churches and offering my services to churches. So that's kind of like that takes up about 20 hours of my week, and then the rest I will spend at the studio. Then I have my own projects working with musicians. So I supplement with audio work. It is, yeah, it is a little tough because some of those projects are not very, because of this whole COVID thing. Some musicians don't really have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's you have to be kind of like aware of that and don't expect much, basically. So it's a little hard financially, but I think it's good. I have my hopes, and I think that is good for me because it's helping me becoming better at my job.
Well, I know we're planning a live stream with a band that I'm working with right now up at my house in Alpine coming up next week. And if you're interested in helping out with that, maybe I could find some extra money to get you on that crew. So
That would be
send me a
share the
text.
details with me.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Last question is going to be, if you could give advice to anybody that's trying to break into this industry right now, what would it be? Give us some words of wisdom from Nick's Jesmani.
Let's see.
Don't
So
do it.
advices is really no, I wouldn't say that. I would say do it if you're passionate about it, like anything else in life, right? So you really have to be passionate about something, and it doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a lofty goal. It could be as easy as, hey, you know what? I have this passion about collecting like all the, I don't know, the oldest, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Just be passionate about it.
But you have to have you have to purpose. You have to have a purpose for why you're doing something. So do it if you're passionate about it, and also be willing to work very hard for it. Like anything else, you just have to work hard, and also have fun during that. Just try to have fun.
Well, that's one thing that I really like to do is have fun. And I've had a good time today talking with you. And do you want me to call you Nix or Nikki?
Thank you. Does not matter. I respond to both of them.
Yeah, I always say, just don't call me late for dinner and you can call me anything you want.
That is true.
All
yeah,
right.
No, you can call me anything. Well, between us two.
Hey, thank you so much for coming in. I know the students really appreciate talking to industry professionals like yourself, and so do I. I like learning new things about people, and you're a fantastic human being, and we really appreciate your time that you donated today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was such a pleasure. I hope that it was useful.
Hopefully we'll get back to normal, some sense of normal, in the next year or so, and we'll have you back into the school to check out what the kids are doing and help out a little bit here, okay?
Absolutely. I look forward to that.
All right.
Keep in touch.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye. Bye.